All right, who's eating good? If we want to take a look at some more of the notable coaching vacancies left now that the Patriots is filled. Bears, Jaguars, Jets, Raiders, and Saints all looking for their next leader here. And we start with the Bears, who have interviewed so far Anthony Weaver, of course, from the Dolphins, Drew Petzing from the Cardinals, Mike Kafka, legend of your Giants there, Jay. Pete Carroll, of course, looking to get back in the mix here. Ben Johnson from the Lions and Aaron Glenn from the Lions.
This is such a weird list.
I was going to say, talk about some real dart throws and then guys with a guy with experience like Carroll.
Yeah, Carroll makes sense. Glenn makes sense.
Ben Johnson makes a lot of sense.
Ben Johnson makes it a lot of sense. I guess you could argue Kafka, a former NFL quarterback who's been an OC, or Petzing, where you're just like, can you get Caleb right? Can you, build this team around Caleb? But like Ron Rivera, like, you know what I mean? Like, that's a weird one. Anthony Weaver's a weird one. I don't know.
Now, I'll say this, still scheduled for the Bears, Todd Monken. I think that would be exciting for Caleb Williams. Sure. Cliff Kingsbury, good with young quarterbacks.
Yep.
Obviously knows Caleb Williams personally.
I don't know if Cliff takes that interview, by the way.
Interesting.
Cliff doesn't have to jump to any job.
It's kind of like the Canales-Bryce Young thing. It's not the same to the same extent because Caleb Williams still feel better about him than we did about Bryce Young coming into the season. But like the only thing that matters is getting the most out of Caleb Williams. Like that's the only thing that matters. Yeah. So I just think it really should just be an offensive-minded head coach, and Ben Johnson's the dream.
Well, either that or it needs to be a defensive-minded coach that will bring in a great offense. Like, you know what I mean? If there was a coordinator out there like Cliff that you felt good about, that you feel like you could get there. But I mean, we'll see. Brian Flores would be interesting as well. I don't get the Arthur Smith thing, but okay. Anyway, Bears fans, we'll see. I wonder how people feel about the First off, I wonder if people feel about Bears' job. Maybe you feel good because you've got Caleb there, but also the front office is a bit of a mess.
The infrastructure is bizarre.
Right, and like if you're somebody like, especially like Cliff Kingsbury, right? I mean, or even Arthur Smith, like you're only going to get a second chance at a head coaching job. Like once you've had two shots, you're sort of done. And so, like I think Kingsbury's going to be very, very, patient and pick his right spots. Florio made this point last night, which is, he's still being paid by the Cardinals. He's being paid by the Cardinals through 2026 as a head coach. He's in a good spot with Washington, so we'll see there. Flores would be interesting as well. Let's talk about the Jaguars. Is the Jaguars a good job? You've got Trevor Lawrence. I don't know how you feel about it. I don't know how you feel about the ownership there.
I'll tell you why it's.
And you've got to deal with Trent Baalke,
that's
who's
number one problem.
Like, because I love the Khans. I mean, full disclosure, like Tony Khan, who's part of the ownership group of the Jaguars, is an investor in Fantasy Life. So I mean, full disclosure on that one. But Baalke seems to not have the best reputation.
It's as bad as it gets in the NFL in terms of still having a GM job, and I know that's harsh, but you do make a really good point. Like that ownership group by NFL people, scouts, execs, coaches, they love them. Yeah. They're patient. They pay well. They're good to work with. Like they check all the boxes of good ownership, but you have to get Baalke out of there if you want the best, I think, in my opinion. And then, the last one with the Jets, this is a little bit different because there is no GM there. Yep. So the good news is it's a clean slate across the board.
Who do you want?
Yeah.
That I think is realistic.
You want
like
Darren
Ben
Rizzi?
Johnson's not interviewing. Yeah, Darren Rizzi. Ron Rivera interviewed. Bring Rex Ryan back. I like the combo of Brian Flores with Josh McCown as his OC.
Interesting.
In terms of what they can get. Like, I'm not sitting here and they're not getting Ben Johnson. They're not getting Cliff Kingsbury. They're not getting Liam Cohen. Maybe they surprise you, but I don't think they will.
Doesn't seem like they want to go out and recruit, which I think you sort of have to with some. Like, Ben Johnson's going to have his pick of jobs.
Yeah.
Like,
They didn't even request him because they knew he wasn't taking the interview. Yeah. I like Aaron Glenn, but who's the OC? Like, the question is always with the Jets, who is the OC?
And who's the quarterback?
And who's the quarterback? That's the thing. Like, you sit here and look at some of these jobs that at least with the Jaguars and the Bears, you have a quarterback, or at least you think.
That's their advantages.
You think they do. The Raiders, who knows? The Saints, it depends on sort of how you feel about Derek Carr, I guess. But, or Spencer Rattler.
Right.
It'll be fascinating to see how this all pans out. I can't believe Ron Rivera is getting multiple interviews for jobs.
It's on a world tour.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and RotoWorld.com, and I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched, or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest Roto-World fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.